Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight.
The Marijuana Commission's report revealed. We've got the details. A Haitian national pleads guilty to fraud. How you can stay safe at Junkanoo. Plus, our 12 days of Christmas countdown continues.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. The Bahamas National Commission on Marijuana, in a preliminary report, recommends the legalization of medicinal marijuana and the decriminalization of the possession of up to 1 ounce of the substance. Here's Jared Higgs.
According to the draft commission report, marijuana should be decriminalized and persons should be allowed to have a maximum of 1 ounce in their possession without prosecution. The allowable ounce of marijuana may be subject to increase after a review of implementation. The report adds, recreational marijuana should be permitted for adults over 21 years and medicinal marijuana should be permitted for adults over 18 years of age.
I think it should be legalized. Because, like I said, everybody's doing it. But I agree with the amount issue. You know, I mean, don't be traveling with tons and tons of it.
If it's for medical use, it's okay. But if it's to abuse it, it's totally wrong.
The report also recommends that Bahamians be allowed to cultivate a maximum of 5 marijuana plants per household for persons with medical marijuana cards. The report also proposes the expunging of all police records reflecting possessions of small amounts of cannabis. It notes that the public generally felt that small amounts of marijuana should not result in jail time. Bahamians were quick to give their views on this.
If I was to get locked up today or tomorrow, just say like for a joint, I don't think that it should be on my record because sometimes we make mistakes and I think we deserve second chances.
You don't make to mess up somebody's record as a crime for a ounce of weed.
The draft report also recommends the use of marijuana as a sacrament for Rastafarians. It says the Bahamas government may wish to consider granting Rastafarians the right to use cannabis for religious use in privacy. Further, based on the Commission's visit to Rasta camps in both Jamaica and the Bahamas, it is recommended that members of the Rasta community are consulted for input on the production of medical and therapeutic cannabis in the Bahamas. It said members of the Rastafarian community should be required to set up a Rasta council, and that council would advise the government on the names of persons who have been clearly identified as Rastas.
Going legal it'll be a better thing for our community.
34-year-old Rastafarian Timothy Knowles says despite his belief in the benefits of marijuana, the industry needs to be regulated.
I feel like if they legalize it, you should only be allowed a certain quantity. You don't need an ounce of weed in your possession if you only need to smoke 1 joint.
The document also proposes that Bahamians have ownership of the cannabis industry. It speaks to 51% ownership by Bahamians in private companies that will be allowed to partner with a foreign company who can only hold a maximum of 49% equity. It adds the industry should not be taxed heavily. A corporate tax can be imposed at a rate of 5 to 10%. That is to be reviewed annually or biannually. This 26-year-old woman agreed with the majority Bahamian ownership stake.
This our country, really, why would we let foreigners come and let them run our country?
Now, the legalization of medical marijuana is also a recommendation that comes up in that draft report. Now, like you said, it's just a draft report. It's not clear when the final report is going to be submitted. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Well, after reading the full report, Opposition Leader PHILLIP Davis says the Marijuana Commission still has a lot of work to do. He added that he doesn't think there should be an age limit for persons approved to use medicinal marijuana.
I don't know you need to put an age usage on the medicinal aspect of it because it is to cure ills, and young people do have ailments that might require treatment. I think that ought to be left to the what I call the prescribing physician, who is going to prescribe to determine whether a young child should be treated with medicinal marijuana. I don't know. I think we leave that to the experts who are administering and taking, under whose care a patient might be and who might require the use of medicinal marijuana.
Davis echoed calls for an educational campaign on marijuana. He said while he supports decriminalizing the drug, he hopes it doesn't negatively impact inner city youth.
For example, I think being responsible, we cannot approach it in a way where young people who are still in high school, for example, I think reports are showing that children at the age of 8 still in junior high school and are using marijuana. Is that something we'd want? And so the message has to be that we're not too permissive for the use in young children. So there has to be, we have to look at age and age qualification. These are some of the factors. So the work still has to be done.
A 37-year-old Haitian man found with several Bahamian documents in his possession was sentenced to 3 years behind bars today after he pleaded guilty to charges of fraud by false pretenses. Georgia Bain reports.
37-year-old Haitian national I. Smith I. Claire of Golden Isles Road appeared before Magistrate Andrew Forbes Monday afternoon and was charged with 4 counts, including fraud by false pretenses. It is alleged that on May 1, 2019, the accused did obtain from Blue Hill Road Clinic an immunization card in the name of Maxon Pierre by means of false pretenses. It is further alleged that on July 8th, he obtained a police record from the Criminal Records Office in the name of Maxon Pierre. Then on September 13th, I. Claire allegedly obtained a Haitian passport from the Haitian consulate in the name of Maxon Pierre by means of fraud. 1 month later, on October 18th, he then allegedly attempted to obtain from the Bahamas government naturalization in that name. According to court records, I. Claire was stopped by immigration officers who discovered a number of documents in the name of Maxon Pierre. Following a check of the immigration database, officers found that a number of applications had been made in that name, but the defendant was also in possession of a work permit in the name of I. Smith I. Claire. In court today, he entered a guilty plea to all charges. I. Claire told Magistrate Forbes that he had fallen on hard times in Haiti, adding that he has a wife and 4 children and left them to find a better way of life. He also told the court that his mother recently passed away and that his wife now has no help with the children in Haiti. According to I. Claire, he only applied for the documents because he wanted status in the Bahamas so he could provide for his family. He apologized for his actions, and he said he wasn't too familiar with the laws of the Bahamas. Magistrate Forbes told I. Claire that he accepted his apology, but found it hard to believe that the laws would be any different in Haiti. He then handed down a 3-year jail sentence on each count to run concurrently. I. Claire asked if the court would consider reducing the sentence or consider sending him back to Haiti. Forbes told I. Claire that he has the right to appeal the decision within 7 days in the Supreme Court. Also appearing before Magistrate Andrew Forbes was 19-year-old Romero Ralph Smith of Carmichael Road. Smith was charged with 18 counts. It is alleged that between February 19th and 20th, the accused was found in possession of 2 forged birth certificates in the name of Romero Ralph Smith and Charmaine Johnson. He was also in possession of a Bahamian voter's card, national insurance cards, a lost passport report, and a Bahamian passport. Smith entered a not guilty plea to the 18 counts and returns to court on March 9, 2020. Until then, he is remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections. Reporting for R News, I'm Georgia Bain.
In other news from the courts, a man and a woman were arraigned in the magistrate's court today on fraud-related charges. 21-year-old Nikita Pinder was charged with attempted fraud by false pretenses and conspiracy to commit fraud, while 30-year-old D'Angelo Culmer in the navy blue shirt and black pants was charged with fraud by false pretenses and conspiracy to commit fraud. The couple allegedly attempted to obtain $4,500 from Bahama Islands Cooperative Credit Union by means of false pretenses. They both entered not guilty pleas. Culmer asked if the court could ensure that someone looks after their 4 children. He asserted that his girlfriend had nothing to do with the incident and asked if he could change his plea. Magistrate Forbes advised Culmer to speak with his lawyer before making any more statements in court. They were both remanded to the prison and will return to court on March 2020. Well, National Security Minister Marvin Dames is responding to concerns about the brazen and sometimes bizarre armed robberies reported in recent days. In the past 6 days, police reported that a woman was held up in a mall bathroom and a family of 5 was held up at home. Jasmine Brown reports.
The National Security Minister was candid in his response to the spate of recent armed robberies, as he says it may be the season for giving. However, he says there are those who are hell-bent on taking.
There are still others out there who will, despite the presence of the police, will take the risk.
The National Security Minister's comments come after a spate of robberies in recent weeks. The most recent matters occurred Monday morning when police say gunmen held up a family of 5 and couple in 2 separate but equally frightening incidents. The first incident occurred just after midnight when a man and a woman and 3 kids arrived at a residence on Arawak Avenue off Pyfram Road. The group was standing on the porch attempting to enter the home when they were approached by an armed man who robbed them of cash, jewelry, and other personal effects before jumping a wall and running away. The second armed robbery occurred 5 hours later after 2 armed men entered a home on Sequoia Street in Pinewood Gardens and robbed a man and a woman of cash and a vehicle.
Christmas is a very busy time of the year, the holiday season, and unfortunately this is the time of year too when those persons who are hell-bent on stealing and robbing others come out. And so we're very cognizant of that.
But he did admit police will have to be more creative as suspects carry out bolder crimes. He says police are saturating the streets in a bid to clamp down on those armed robberies.
There are a category of individuals who will continue to challenge them and will continue to find creative means to steal and rob. We just have to be a step ahead of them.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
All right, thanks, Jasmine. Still to come, why the PLP leader says Ken Strawn's appointment was politically motivated. Plus, still no Grand LUCAYAN deal a year and a half in. Stay tuned.
In April, when we had the BPL chairman who said that there will be no load shedding. He basically said that they're ready, you know, they have these generators, and then boom, lights went out. It's going to bring up some bad memories. And I know that they're probably going to say, you know, this has been such a rough year, not only as it relates to experiencing the long power outages, but we also have a $30 increase that's coming. So I had moments where I laughed, where I wanted to cry because I remembered being in my house for 4 hours wondering when the power would come on. And so going back in that footage and looking at some of those things, it was an emotional roller coaster.
You're watching Our News. Welcome back. Opposition leader PHILLIP Davis says Assistant Commissioner Ken Strawn's new appointment as Chief of Security of the Willow May Pratt and Simpson Penn facilities is clearly politically motivated. He says government officials should appreciate their role as policy makers. Berthany McDormand reports.
Despicable, arbitrary, and unreasonable. That's how the opposition leader described ACP Strawn's new appointment. He says government officials should not decide what happens to senior police officers.
So you have that dichotomy where you have a minister who believes he's the commissioner.
After decades on the police force, Ken Strawn returned from forced vacation leave recently and was informed he had been appointed Chief of Security at 2 juvenile facilities. Then on December 12th, his attorney Wayne Monroe alleges that Strawn's access card, email, and access to the police criminal profile and radio systems were deactivated.
For the minister to be able to carry it out, he has to have the blessing of the Prime Minister. And for the Prime Minister to be causing such disruption in the police force at the level it's occurring, when we are so beset with issues and challenges relating to crime, it doesn't send a good message in the force itself. It impacts morale.
Davis said he doesn't blame the Assistant Commissioner for taking action.
It has to be politically motivated and not in the best interest of the force to be doing things like that. So I hope that he's seeking redress in the appropriate forum in the court, and I trust that the court would see the move what it is.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
More than a year and a half after the government signed a letter of intent with Royal Caribbean Cruises and the ITM Group for the purchase of the Grand LUCAYAN Resort for $65 million, officials have yet to ink a deal. Though he set several deadlines for the sale's completion, Tourism Minister Dionysi de Aguilar insisted there have been lots of twists and turns in the negotiation process.
You know, negotiations, you can't put a finite date nor time on when they're going to be concluded. There are always asks and gives and negotiations, and that's just the nature of negotiations. And while the press may want a hard and fast date to hold us to, it will happen when it happens.
In October, de Aguilar said the government resumed negotiations after Hurricane Dorian's destruction on Grand Bahama. He says he remains optimistic.
I'm very positive, I'm very upbeat, I'm very optimistic, but we don't yet have a deal.
Still to come, Police Press Liaison Officer Shanton Knowles joins me in studio to discuss police presence at the upcoming Junkanoo parades. Stay tuned.
From TV to phone to fast internet, how can we show appreciation for the 25 years you've been with Rev? To celebrate our 25th birthday, Rev is rewarding 250 lucky customers with $250,000 cash back. Simply switch to Trio, upgrade to Trio, or pay your bill in full and have your chance to win cash this Christmas. Just call 601-8992 or email us at trio@cablebahamas.com. Rev, you and us together.
Welcome back to Our News. Now, we're just a few days away from the big dance on Bay Street, but before we get into all of that, we got to find out how to stay safe during Junkanoo. Joining me in studio is the press liaison for the Royal Bahamas Police Force, Superintendent Shanton Knowles. Shanton Knowles, welcome.
Good evening and thank you.
Thank you for joining us. The big dance is just 2 days away. Any advice on how to stay safe going to Bay Street for Junkanoo?
Well, we want to remind the Bahamian public that Junkanoo is going to be a lot of fun this year, we do believe. And the Royal Bahamas Police Force will be out in full force to police both the Junkanoo parades. We are committed to ensuring that the environment is safe for those who participate, those who come to watch the parade, and of course the vendors who will be there. So we remind all of those who are coming to the Junkanoo parades to travel with as less jewelry, valuables as possible. If you only need a cell phone, then only travel with a cell phone. Limited amount of cash. No need to have large sums of cash or jewelry on you. So we invite you to come to Bay Street, participate at the parade, but don't be a nuisance to anyone who is also participating with the parade.
Now, speaking of nuisance, you know, sometimes there are large groups of guys. Any tips to or words of a warning for those who may come and have any plans?
Kyle, what I can tell you is that we have more than 600 officers deployed for these parades. We will not tolerate nuisance from anyone who seek to disrupt the parade or those who are watching the parade. So we know that over the past years, we've seen young boys come in groups, large groups, through the parade or in the bleachers. We will not tolerate that. Those who seek to disrupt the parades will be dealt with according to law and will visit a magistrate's court on the next sitting of the court.
Wow.
So we are serious about this. We have deployed our men and women who will police this parade. We know that we have lots of Bahamians and visitors who enjoy the parades, and we don't want any distractions.
Now, in terms of police presence, you said 600 officers. How far back? East Street, Wolf Road?
You will feel our presence as far back as East Street and Wolf Road, but you will begin to see officers at intersections as you get closer to the parade route. Those officers at those intersections will be screening persons as they come through. So we're looking for weapons or anything that can be used as a weapon to cause a disruption or injuries to anyone along the route. We remind women, young girls, not to allow anyone to cause you to get into trouble by putting objects of weapons into your handbags. We will be searching all bags that come through the parade. So if you don't need a bag, don't bring the bag. We know that over the years, rat tail combs were used as weapons. We know that baby bottles, glass bottles, we use as weapons. Those will not be tolerated, will not be allowed on the route.
So the glass baby bottles?
The glass baby bottles.
Oh, wow.
If you're traveling with a baby, ensure that his or her formula is in a plastic container.
Okay.
The Junkanoo parade route is a no bottle zone. Total, no bottle zones. None will be accepted. We will not tolerate that. So don't come with your champagne, your bottles of wine, because we will confiscate and destroy those.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Superintendent Knowles. Before I go, I have to ask you, Saxons Valley, One Family, what are we here with?
I'm mesmerized by all the sights and sounds. I'm neutral.
You played it safe.
I'm neutral.
All right, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Up next, we continue with our 12 Days to Christmas countdown.
In April, when we had the BPL chairman who said that there will be no load shedding. He basically said that they are ready, you know, they have these generators, and then boom, lights went out. It's going to bring up some bad memories. And I know that they're probably going to say, you know, this has been such a rough year, not only as it relates to experiencing the long power outages, but we also have a $30 increase that's coming. So I had moments where I laughed, where I wanted to cry, because I remembered being in my house for 4 hours wondering when the power would come on. And so going back in that footage and looking at some of those things, it was an emotional roller coaster.
Watching Our News, welcome back. With less than 48 hours to go until Santa comes sliding down the chimney, shoppers are rushing to get their hands on last-minute gifts for their loved ones. Even the grocery stores are packed with people stocking up on supplies for Christmas dinner.
On Arm Bailey Park, 12-year-old Bailey Poitier is spending his Christmas break making money with his family selling toys during the busy holiday rush.
He's selling remote control cars, he's selling Barbie dolls, and basically stuff for the kids.
The park has a whole strip of vendors selling just about everything from clothing to shoes and, of course, a whole lot of toys, holding their own just across the street from the busy Marathon Mall. And while everyone's rushing to buy gifts, there's a whole other group of people rushing into food stores like Solomon Supercenter.
For us, Christmas is family, and so potlucks, that makes it good. And, well, this year I'm doing fish and salad.
Every register had a long line as the chefs of the family and those just sent to do the shopping rushed to get ham, turkey, cranberry sauce, and all the little things that make a great Christmas meal. ABSELUM Roach's trolley was filled with soda and M&Ms. He said it's about keeping the grandkids happy.
I'm going to do the bacon, the bacon, the ham, and the turkey.
And just about everyone we spoke with bragged about their family's cooking.
Well, I came to actually get some storage bins to clear some extra clutter and put up some stuff that is, you know, needs to be put up, simply.
And throw away all the bad tasting food people bring to you.
Yeah, no bad tasting food. Nobody connected to me cooks bad tasting food.
Meanwhile, Belkis Moore just wants to ensure her bathroom is on point for her holiday guests.
You're supposed to make your bathroom look wonderful.
Did you buy all the Christmas gifts already?
Yes, I did.
And how did you find shopping this Christmas season? Things were expensive?
Very expensive.
Your wallet hurting?
It hurting bad. I'm serious, it hurting bad. But I think it's going to get better.